Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. In this video we cover the basics with a few surprises on a marble making company that's a little more obscure and doesn't often get the spotlight or attention with marble collectors and enthusiasts. Mid-Atlantic of West Virginia Incorporated, out of Ellenboro, West Virginia. Here's a glimpse of their marble making facility in full operation as it appeared in 1998, filmed by Mike Johnson. And if you look closely, you can see the open ends of 3 working furnaces here. This is during a time period when Mid-Atlantic was producing a large quantity of decorative gems, brightly colored, transparent arts and crafts type marbles, and industrial marbles. In this clip, we can see one of the Mid-Atlantic marble machines working in unison with a track-type roller gem machine, where the marbles settle into a flatter disc shape as they cool and harden. Many of their glass gems and marbles were retailed at Walmart, with whom they had a large contract with. Some examples were produced with an irridized or pearlized finish, and they also produced crackled glass marbles. These are all crackled.
You can set them down there
anywhere. Here's a good sample size of Mid-Atlantic made crackled marbles from the Dale Simmons collection. These marbles, according to marble maker Sammy Hogue, who was employed at Mid-Atlantic from 1967 to 2004, said they were simply decorative transparent style marbles dunked into hot water at an optimal temperature where they would fracture without completely breaking apart. These marbles, along with other decorative styles and flats, are not unique to Mid-Atlantic glass, as a few other companies were producing them. For decades, Mid-Atlantic's main line of production was hand-blown glassware and crystal stemware. It wasn't until the 1990s that they expanded into the production of marbles. They even brought on Vitro Agate's Louis Moore as a consultant, sort of senior advisor, to help get the process started. Sammy remembers that Mid-Atlantic would have had 8 or 9 marble making machines running during their peak production years in the early 2000s.
The green sign down there?
Yeah.
That's a sign to Sammy Hogue's. So Sammy Hogue was right there, and here's this is where Mid-Atlantic glass was.
That beige building?
Yep. Yep. A huge glass plant. Did all sorts of things. They used to have glass stored out by the road here, but those were where the last of the marbles were dumped.
Right.
And then right where this line of trucks was, as I remember.
Okay.
This is where Mid-Atlantic had their buildings making marbles.
It's an entirely different landscape now.
Yes.
It's a trucking depot. Amazing.
And I don't know what's back at Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
I mean, some folks say, I think there's a road between these boulders.
Yeah.
And they said there were marbles in there.
Wow, we'll have to take a little hike.
Supposedly there's a swimming pool buried, and that's where, Hey, how are you? Good. We're just doing it.
Shown here is a very complete assemblage of the range of marbles Mid-Atlantic produced over the years. This was filmed from the late Dale Simmons collection of Parkersburg, West Virginia, who spent a lot of time in and around the facilities. And thanks to Dale's diligent work in collecting and carefully documenting the different Mid-Atlantic marble styles that were being run there, we now have a pretty solid overview of what marbles they produced. Dale's father actually worked at Champion Agate way back in the 40s and 50s. And your dad made
46
these?
or 47, yeah.
At Champion.
Champion.
Very cool.
These are such beautiful marbles.
You'll notice a bunch of different attractive swirl types here in some of these cells. Many of these were from what most collectors refer to as the 9/11 run. And while you sometimes hear the term rare marbles thrown around in the hobby, the 911 run is a bona fide rare group of machine-made marbles. And we'll break down the different 911 types here. Not exactly sure who coined the run's nickname, but it would seem apparent that it would have been in honor of the victims and perhaps the heroic responders and volunteers of the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. Most of these examples are quality crafted, multicolored swirls. The good news for marble collectors that like to chase down hard to find West Virginia swirls is the auction values on these marbles have been generally very reasonable, averaging between $5 to $12 a pop in the last few years. A large majority of the 9/11 swirl marbles produced were created with red, white, and blue glass. This first type I think might be my favorites. They show a transparent glass in the base mixed with a wispy white threading and swirling in through the base. A little like Acro Popeyes or even Caro Cloudy Days. And the blue here is a crisp, deep cobalt blue. And some of them also have red transparent swirls. They're very, very attractive marbles. Let's go to the sidebar here and check this out. If you backlight these, all these marbles fire up orange. They have an opalescent base glass. Awesome! From the collections I've seen, I think it's fairly safe to say that the red and blues on an opaque white base are the most common types from the run. I'm showing a sequence here that starts with the more bland colored examples into the more bolder ones. The swirl patterns are usually pretty simple with a lot of C shapes and wide ribbons. Occasionally there are double ingots, but the run was intended to size around 9/16 to 5/8. A few will have just red swirls on a white base, and typically, that base glass is, for the majority of these, is UV reactive. Much harder to find from the run are the medium blue and mustard yellow color combination. The swirls on these marbles are a little fancier, or maybe they're just a better looking model overall. A lot of the swirl glass for the 9/11 run was provided by none other than Sammy Hogue, and very likely Terry and Mike Hall. The base glass was probably recycled cullet glass from their main facility. For comparison, on the screen are a few similar 1980s era Champion agates, but the champions for this color combination are UV reactive, and the Mid-Atlantics are not. And the Champion swirl action is noticeably busier on average. The simpler Mid-Atlantic swirls aren't likely to be confused with the other West Virginia swirl companies, and since they're newer, they probably won't show up in older lots, which helps to take the guesswork out of identifications. Let's look at the straight yellows they made without the blue glass. These are fairly distinctive marbles with crisp, well-defined lines, and if you look closely, many show two different streams of yellow, one color being a little more on the golden orange side. None of these examples are UV reactive. Quite possibly the largest 9/11 run collection assembled today comes from the Steve Ice collection out of West Virginia. Steve hit the mother load twice, with two big scores, one being purchased directly from the Mid-Atlantic gift shop right before they shut down in 2004. He came in and asked for some special swirl marbles, and the saleswoman went into the back room and pulled out a big jar of 9/11s. That's insane. And when we look at this group, we can see that there's a red with more of an aqua blue color combination, similar to Vitro Aquamarines. You can see the textbook C shape with most of these, and they surely must be painfully hard to find. One of the reasons that the 9/11s are so scarce is that, according to Sammy Hogue, after the run, most of them were placed in the stockroom, And not soon after, the building was broken into, and a large majority of them were unfortunately stolen. Here's a novelty item that we're not certain, but we believe these are 911 flats based on the color combinations shown. But this orange one does look a little out of place. Sammy Hogue remembers that Mid-Atlantic was using up to 3 to 4 gem machines during their peak production years. These are Mid-Atlantic made?
Yeah.
And that's a bone kind of color. That's wild. They have really cool patterns on them too. Clear base with that heavy bone color. Dale Simmons gathered and saved these cool looking swirls the day they were produced at Mid-Atlantic in the year 2000. And over the years, many of these examples were later picked and scrounged from the grounds throughout the property. These are nice, with a thick, busy bone or almond colored opaque swirl on a transparent champagne colored base. Easy stunt doubles for champion or early alley agates. It's more than possible Mid-Atlantic produced swirls of other colors that have yet to be documented, and only time and further research will tell. Let's move on to the only known Mid-Atlantic packaged marble products, and it's a very short list. The first were promo packs for the North Central West Virginia Recycling Cooperative, circa late 90s or early 2000s. Each bag contains 5 transparents, and they're usually irridized marbles. The paper headers seem to only come in blue or black print. Second are these super obscure Committee to Elect Stephen W. Montoni to the West Virginia House of Delegates election promo bags from the year 2002. And they hold the same type of iridized, transparent marbles. Estimated value on either type of bag would be approximately $15 a piece. Once upon a time, these 7/8 of an inch boulders were available at the Mid-Atlantic gift shop, and they're printed promo marbles, contracted out by Jabo in Reno, Ohio. I've seen these swirls on a red base, a blue base, and I'm not sure what other colors they're available in, but they do make for a very unique Mid-Atlantic related collectible. I gotta show you this, guys. Anyone who's ever been to Dale's, you know you had to make it through his fishing lure collection room before you got to his marble room.
Oh, look at all these lures.
These walls were fully stocked with vintage collectible fishing lures, plugs, and some of the trophy fish.
That's a
one
one
big bluegill.
I'd rather have these than you would the marbles.
Yeah, this is your favorite collectible. Look at that muskie. That trophy muskie was a 35-pounder, pulled from the Little Canoa River in Calhoun County, West Virginia. So this video is dedicated to Dale and M. Simmons, who recently passed just last year. You will be missed. Thank you, Dale, for all your help for this video. If you like this video, please give it a like. And thank you for watching Vintage Machine Made Marbles.